Hey, Bruce Naylor here, the Boomer Consumer. How you doing? Welcome to my channel. On this channel, I review hi-fi gear. DACs, amps, headphones, speakers, turntables, even vintage stuff sometimes. But I'm particularly excited about today, and I'll tell you why. I got the opportunity, thanks to Ashita Audio. They're a representative of S.M.S.L, distributor of their products, and they sent me the S.M.S.L D0400. This is a desktop DAC and headphone amp, all in one unit, sells for under $500. Special thanks to Ashita for sending it to me for review. However, all opinions of my own. No one's reviewed this video prior to posting. One of the things that makes this DAC headphone amp special is it's using the flagship DAC chip, and that is the Sabre ESS 9039 MS Pro chip. This is an 8-channel DAC chip, so it's a flagship. And the S.M.S.L is doing a wonderful job implementing it. This is a newer chip, I think, but I think it's still been around a couple years now. And one of the cool things about it, if you're into MQA, this can decode MQA and MQA CDs, which is something I'm not super familiar with, but I'm gonna check it out to see what that is all about. You know, with this chip, with the way this is built, with a linear power supply, balanced outputs and inputs, or balanced outputs, this thing is a real music workhorse. This is something you use every single day and get thorough musical enjoyment out of it. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. $500 for this gets you a decent set of headphones, and there you go. You are in audiophile heaven. Now, for any of you that may not be familiar with the DAC, it just simply means it's a digital to analog converter. So it takes that those bits, those ones and zeros, and converts it into an analog waveform, and thus the music you hear out your speakers. That's what they do. The headphone amplifier on here is a potent one. I have plenty of planar magnetic headphones, and this thing can drive all of them with absolute ease. In a 16 ohm load, this thing will put out 6 watts. On a 32 ohm load, 3 watts. And most of my headphones, I have a lot of HIFIMAN and a lot of planar magnetics, are somewhere around that 32 ohm impedance on there, and this thing can drive the toughest of those, no problem. So it's just a very powerful, very clean design on the D0400. Let me explain. First off, if you take a look at it, you've got this nice all-metal body on here. You've got a really nice knob for multifunction knob, and the knob feel is fantastic, right? The nice clicky knob on here. It's multifunction. So you have that. You have a nice color display on here. It comes with a very good remote. Well, it's a standard. It's not really a standard S.M.S.L remote, but it certainly is a nice remote. So you can, control the inputs and outputs with the remote control. Don't even have to touch the knob on the D0400. Now, to go over some of the features and specifications of the D0400, and here in a minute I'll put up the spec sheet on this, and there'll also be a link to the site at Ashita for more information, detailed, in-depth information about the D0400. But let's just hit some of the basics. Again, 6 watts into 16 ohms and 3 into 32. It's a fully balanced design. You get 3 different headphone outputs and 6 different source inputs on here. It can act as a standalone, as a preamp. It supports Bluetooth 5.1, so you get all the codecs, the aptX, HD, LDAC, get all that with Bluetooth. They can decode MQA CDs, MQA, DSD 512. It's got a linear power supply. It comes with a remote control. A lot of features for under $500. So let's take a look at the back of the D0400. So you get the left and right balanced outputs, XLR. You have single-ended RCA outputs, which are gold-plated, by the way. For inputs, you have AES, EBU, I2S, optical, gold-plated coaxial input, USB input, your IEC power connection, and also an off and on switch. You get 6 different inputs on this, and on the front, of course, you have your 4.4 millimeter balanced output, 6.35 millimeter output, as well as an XLR output. So 3 different outputs for your headphones. It's pretty much plug and play. Just plug it like into your computer and it'll recognize it and you can use it. Now, sometimes you may, depending on how you want to do it, you may want to download a driver for Windows if you want the high resolution Windows playback. Okay, so but other than that, no extra drivers are required. The big question, how's it sound, Bruce? Seriously, I just bought this thing, or I'm thinking about getting it. How's it sound? Well, I did a lot of listening to this over the last couple weeks. A lot. And so for test gear, well, I used the S.M.S.L, I think it's the PL100 CD player, connected via coax into the back of the D0400. I also used the optical input and listened to a Weem Mini, as well as stream from a Weem Ultra with this USB input. All right, so quite a bit. For headphones, I got to show you these. I'm actually in the process of reviewing these right now. These are the SJY headphones from Apos, and it's a collaboration with them and another company. And I can't wait to give you the review of these. But they sound amazing. So I have a whole lot of demo tracks. I'm not going to go into them all, but I wanted to talk about this album real quick, which is Dire Straits' Love Over Gold. This is not your typical Dire Straits music. This is very instrumental. It's very orchestra in nature. It is something that, Mark Knopfler just did a tremendous job with his guitar work on here. It is a musical tour de force, and a lot of detail can be heard in this recording. And when you're listening to it through a really good pair of headphones with the D0400, it is phenomenal. I highly recommend, if you get a chance, check out Dire Straits' Love Over Gold. The first track alone is 14 minutes, and it is like a musical journey. It's a story. It's just amazing to listen to it. Trust me, check it out. In a word, how does it sound? Clean. Very clean. Some may say it's got a digital sheen to it. I say it does not. I think it's just very clean, super detailed, and very accurate, which is something I think most of us want in a headphone amp and DAC combination, or at least in the DAC by itself. The separation is very good with it. The bass is good with it. Vocals are tremendous with it. I can't brag enough about how good this sounds. I really can't. For the price, this thing I've got a $2,500 HIFIMAN, was it the Prelude? Headphone amp. $2,500 HIFIMAN headphone amp. This thing, and that's an R to R, and I had it hooked up to an R to R DAC, and the Serenade, and it's an R to R DAC. But I tell you what, this headphone amp in here by itself sounds very, very close to the headphone amp in the Prelude. $2,500 versus $500. Yeah, it's a little better. I can't lie to you, but on the other token, is it worth 5 times as much? No, I don't think so. Not in my opinion, but maybe you've got different ideas about that. I'm just saying, I guess, that the background details, which are very nuanced, and sometimes depending on the DAC or the amplifier you may not pick up on, you do with this. It's very, very detailed. Okay, so keep that in mind. As far as handling the headphones, it handled anything I could throw at it with like it was nothing. It's got a low and a high gain setting, by the way. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and show you the menu system, by the way, on the D0400, because I think you're going to find it super easy to use. I'll be right back. Okay, so I thought we'd take a look at the menu, and let's get with inputs. You have USB, Bluetooth, optical, coaxial, I2S. So those are your basic inputs. Now let's take a look at the outputs. All line outs, headphones, balanced, unbalanced. And then let's look at your PCM filters, filter off. You got minimum phase, apodizing, linear, fast, slow, medium, fast, low dispersion, filter off. There you go. Now let's take a look at the DSD filters, 4.7, 50, 60K, 70K, HPA gain. That's your headphone amp gain. Now let's look at sound color. Standard, rich 1, 2, 3, tube 1, tube 2, tube 3, crystal 1, 2, 3. By the way, I think crystal 1 sounded the best to me for sound color. Now if we go into pre-mode, obviously use it as a preamp or not. Function key, that's when you depress the button for your phase, whatever you want to set it to. All right, your DPLL, which is set as a default value of 5, I2S mode, which is either normal or reversed. And then your audio phase, either normal or inverted. And we go brightness, your dimmer, which is, I have this turned off. Brightness, I've got the brightness set up to max. And then finally to reset all your settings, and then we are back at the beginning. That's the menu system. I think it works very, very well. Now, as far as any background noise, hiss, anything like that, none of that was noticeable at all. So no worries there. Look, all you really need is a good pair of headphones. Maybe get you a pair of powered speakers. Use this for a desktop DAC headphone amp. You could easily integrate it into a rack hi-fi system if you want. You certainly wouldn't be disappointed on it. It seems to be extremely well made. You know, just some of the pros of this thing, right? It's got this, of course, the flagship Sabre DAC chip in there. It sounds brilliant. I mean, everything's on point. It's been built really, really well. You get a remote control on it, and it just, you get a lot of features for the money. As far as cons go, it was very difficult. And believe me, I know there's some of you out there, if a reviewer can't find a con, you just don't trust them. I get that. But there's some products out there, man, that you really got to fight to look hard to find something wrong with it. And I guess the only thing that I might mention, and this is probably more me than the D0400, is I couldn't always tell much, if any, difference in some of the PCM filters. As a matter of fact, they all pretty much are very similar. However, the Crystal 1 filter did have a very nice little boost in the high end and in the mid-range. And, you know, mid-range is where music lives. Other than that, man, I just can't really find too many flaws with this. I'm not sure about this button up front because I think it might be plastic, but it still has a nice feel to it. If you want to consider that a con, go for it. Well, I guess to bottom line this for you, if you're looking for better sound, you don't want to spend a ton of money, but you want the best possible sound you can afford out of your digital stuff, your digital gear, then I think the D0400 is definitely going to be worth looking into, and maybe even put it on your short list. And let me tell you, S.M.S.L just makes good, affordable hi-fi gear, period. That's what they do. They sell it at a reasonable price, and this is certainly reasonable. And so if you like this review, give me a sub, a thumbs up. But I'm interested in your comments down below. I always enjoy reading those. I can't always respond to everybody, but I do my best. I will see you in the next video.